Hi, how are you? Yeah, no, okay. Immediate apologies. I know I rarely, if ever, go live on a Monday, let alone this early. I normally wouldn't, because I want a day off, you know, I want a day off from streaming just to myself. And then this, I swear to God, this fuck-ass company. Y'all wonder why I stick to talking about Games Workshop on live streams and not in edited videos anymore? Because I said it in, hey Chonka, how you doing? Hey, also, hello, Chonka, EA, and Megumin, I saw y'all there. Yeah, hi everyone. Y'all wonder why I made that video saying I'm not putting out edited videos about Games Workshop anymore, like as a company? Y'all wonder why I said I did that when it's like I said, everything there is to report on. I forgot to mute my fucking phone. Hold on, everyone. First of all, I forgot to mute my phone. I'm sorry about that. It was a scam call, in case you're wondering. I told them to go fuck themselves. Now, right, where was I? Right, yes. Remember how I said I'm never doing an edited, I said I'm never doing an edited video on Games Workshop ever again, right? Because it's just bad news and depression. That's all their company is. That's all there is to talk about them anymore, right? That's all that's what it's devolved into at this point. So, last stream, right? I have to apologize about last stream, well, not last stream, but the last week's Yap stream, and why there is no, you know, VOD of it up. And that's pretty much because I got so mad at how retarded Games Workshop was being that it was just an outburst of anger. And frankly, I don't care about the slurs I said. I don't care about that. I don't like losing my cool though on stream. So that VOD is currently packed away till maybe I can do something with it. Maybe. Now all of China knows I have default ringtone. You know, Victus, I really do need to make a custom ringtone that is true. I do have the most, like having the default ringtone is probably the most white guy thing I could possibly do. You know, but all right, okay, all right. So. We had, you know, we had the female custodes issue. We had Games Workshop shoving it to the side to try to pretend, you know, that they weren't there, that they weren't a thing. Apparently, there weren't that many FOMO boxes of the female custodes for sale, and the usual scalpers got them, so all I need to know about that is apparently that's a flop. We had the Games Workshop try to salvage the situation by talking about Yark again, and in the process pissing off their entire Imperial Guard fan base by squatting the Steel Legion. I'm still mad, by the way. I'm no longer raging, but I'm still mad. And then today I was just chilling, right? I was gonna have the fucking, you know, I was just gonna have a nice, calm afternoon. You know, nice, calm afternoon. Wasn't gonna be like doing anything super important, you know? And then I see a message in my Discord server. Somebody posted that Kais grifter ass tourist, and he apparently posted some actual information about Games Workshop. So naturally, I stole what he posted, and we're gonna talk about it here, because apparently they're killing Age of Sigmar. They're killing off Age of Sigmar. Yep. Listen. Okay. You know what? We've been you know, shooting the shit here a little too much for too long. Let's get to the meat. Let's get to the meat of all this. Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So. Okay. So, like I said, it ain't been a good week for Games Workshop, right? Female Custodes flopped. They had to push, they were pushing them to the side of all the daily announcements in the lead up to their launch. They were pushing mainline 40K stuff and Adepticon instead. It was just a few hundred FOMO boxes that got snatched up by scalpers, as you do. We had this on screen. We had this. This was the big one, though. Honestly, this was the worst thing. This was honestly worse than Female Custodes, the Steel Legion being squatted effectively. This is where we left off last time I was rambling about Games Workshop, and I had to very suddenly change the topic because I got a little mad. I'm not gonna lie, right? Okay. Now, it has been 2 days since this. It has been two days since this. Here's our latest crisis. So, y'all like the end times? Well, if the end times were so good, how come there weren't an end times 2? Oh wait, hey, guess what? It's the end times 2. Yeah, guys, we're doing it again. We're doing the End Times 2, Electric Boogaloo, the sequel, the ride, the experience. We're running it back. Because listen. What? No, it's not 40K. It's for Age of Sigmar. Okay, I should clarify that right away. It's not for 40K. It's for Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar is getting end timesed. Like, okay, let's read over the posts. Again, I stole these from Shasla Kais on Twitter, who made the grave mistake of posting something that vindicates all my criticisms of Age of Sigmar as a setting. So let's read the posts. After 40K players accepted femistodes by putting their fingers in the ears and pretending they don't exist like a 6-year-old would, I just disappointed. Okay, listen, man. The only people who accepted them are the fucking social media influencers who wanted it, like the 100 or so of them. No actual Warhammer fans were okay with it. But right. On end time, yeah, Warhammer Fantasy, Age of Sigmar, the End Times 2, the Quickening. Yeah, exactly. But, right, okay, let's read this off. Let's see, I honestly don't know why Boole did this, dropping so much. Okay. So, here's the summary. Here's the summary from this poster, Nichika. Here's the summary. I'll read it off. The setting is getting nuked. Major characters are being killed off. And while models are still usable, they're just pushing new ones. How is this any different from the End Times transitioning to AOS First Edition? Back then, you could still use most of your fantasy models too. This isn't a soft reboot. It's literally just another End Times, but with factions intact. Logic dictates that if something is selling well, you stick to the core formula. A move like this is bound to frustrate the player base. If GW didn't have a track record of blowing things up, maybe I could cope, but they've already nuked the old world once. I think the peak of stupidity is Sigmar dying and everyone losing their memories of the AOS era. His death is a lazy plot device to introduce the last world, turning him into nothing more than Grimnir 2.0. My favorite faction's struggle all led to this. Also, major events like the Necroquake or the Era of the Beast apparently have zero impact on the future narrative now. I don't get why we need to pretend this will be good. If this is a reboot, it'll take years just to get the setting back on track like the rough start from first edition. Sounds like a hard reset. That's what I'm feeling. Okay, so here's the actual post with the so here's like this guy, you know, this guy's apparently responding to stuff. This guy apparently knows what's going on. Like, there won't be any models removed and familiar characters won't be going anywhere. It's just a soft reboot of the setting. If you're a model player, there's no need to be especially upset about it. Boole got the gods' fates wrong. Among all the deities in AOS, only Sigmar passed away. The others, Nagash for example, are mostly unaffected. Let's see. Yawn, you ain't killing Sigmar. No, he's dead. You'll see 2 illustrations in the 5th edition core book. One shows Sigmar being killed by Archaon. The other one shows Sigmar's faithful believing he defeated Archaon and is just missing in action. All right. Is the game still called Age of Sigmar? Yes, I'm proofreading this book right now, so I can confirm. It reads a lot like first edition. A bunch of characters in the TLW temporarily can't remember what happened before Age of AOS. The TLW. I don't pretend to know Age of Sigmar well enough to know what the hell the TLW is. Honestly, I don't get why Boole did this. Dropping so much info this early doesn't do anything except stir up panic in the community, and honestly, it might end up making my work here a total waste. Kind of like what happened with Season of War. Just got to work an hour ago, barely sat down at my desk. I got pulled into a meeting right away, and then all this hit. Honestly, okay, so this guy is apparently in on it, but just found out himself. Like, this just got dumped on him. Can we just kill Nagash already? That character just exists to be a lazy plot aborter. Right, yeah, him and Archaon, honestly. Archaon in Age of Sigmar is such a shit character. Archaon in Age of Sigmar is everything Abaddon in Warhammer 40k is accused of being. It's true, you know it. So kill more players' interest in this game, right? Because here's the thing, wait, we'll get to that in a sec, Alec. Let's continue with reading this off. Thanks for the concern. No need to worry. My email and IP addresses are randomly generated, and the work I'm doing is a really small and insignificant part. Okay. Boole painted things way too grim, and it blew way out of proportion. Honestly, I think TLW is not nearly as bad as people are worried about. I just happen to be working on that section right now, so let me use Cities of Sigmar as an example. In the 5th core book, Cities of Sigmar is split into 2 major nations, each covering the existing Cities of Sigmar cities. One nation has Hammerhall Gyra as its capital. The other is built around Hammerfall Aksha. One of them still worships Sigmar even though he's dead, while the other, more open and progressive, worships Tal. There's a ton of pretty interesting new lore in here. It's honestly not as bad as Boole made it sound. I need to find the post by this Boole guy. Hi, Angry Badger, how you doing? Okay, now we're quoting that Nichika post again about the setting getting nuked, and he replies with, I don't think the setting's been completely ruined. Honestly, it's not that different from what AOS has been doing each edition anyway. Oh, holy mother of cope. Holy mother of cope. Just makes it easier to follow, easier to write interesting stories, and most of the major characters, aside from Sigmar, are still around. How they experience and react to all this is actually going to be a big part of TLW. What the fuck is TLW? I keep hearing that being said. I've never heard that before. All right, let's get a thing open. Let's get looking. You doing good? Ah, it's good to hear, man. It's good to hear. All right, okay, let's check the usual suspects. AOS sucks. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The new thing they're doing after this, shit, I think possibly. I have to look it up. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Rumor leak mega thread. I'm checking the Age of Sigmar subreddit and I'm getting nothing. If there is anything here, they are definitely, you know, containing it. Let's check new. All right, fuck it. Let's search this. AOS sucks, 40k sucks, Old World sucks, GW sucks. I mean, the current state of 40k absolutely sucks. Like, my god, man. Anyone who plays the progressive Sigmar is going to be bullied by all the Corn player gays for pretending to... TLW is the Old World. Huh. Okay. Why are they putting TLW, not TOW? It's like, that's a weird way to abbreviate it, but okay. Oh, okay, Chaka. The Old World is the Old World is the reboot of old Warhammer Fantasy. But yeah, reread if it means the Old World. They use TLW at least twice. Okay, it says how they experience and react to all this is going to be a major part of the Old World. So are they trying to like bridge the Old World? It's like, are they trying to bridge the Old World and fucking AOS together in a more like? Are they trying to mess? Wait. Everything about 40k is I can pick up and choose what I believe is canon. After all, everything is canon, right? Games Workshop? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm still gonna be doing research while yapping. The Last World. Let me look up that term. Okay, hold on. All right, well, you know what? Apparently there's only one place that I can find that has the info, so forgive me, Valrac. I'm gonna need to poach off your video for this just to read this shit. Okay. Let's see. Ignore Valrac there. His video is a convenient source of the apparently the thread from this Bool guy they keep talking about. Let's see. We received word about this a while back, but along with it came a flood of conflicting information. In hindsight, these inconsistencies are probably just staffers throwing up smoke because they were in shock themselves. The worst version of the story is one where we'd rather not post it here. It wouldn't accomplish anything, just break the hearts of fans and undo years of AOS's momentum. Well, my first question is, what fucking momentum? But after getting some images and transcriptions from the actual text of the PDFs, where we had a discussion internally and can confirm Rob on YouTube and the Discord member were accurate. I'll be upfront. The people behind this account, meaning us, were never fans of AOS. More than a decade ago, we were outright hostile to it. But even we are furious at how this turned out. The dumbest scenario imaginable is happening all over again. Warhammer Fantasy Battle fans won't pay for this, and AOS fans will be absolutely livid. What makes it worse is that AOS has never been... Hold on. Oh yeah, okay. What makes it worse is that AOS has never been a commercial failure. That is a lie. Last time something like this went down, you all know what I'm talking about, it was because Warhammer Fantasy Battles had become a genuine commercial disaster by a certain point. That's what pushed the higher-ups to make a reckless decision. That is a half-truth. It was doing poorly because it was mismanaged. The setting itself was not unpopular. Its fans wanted the game to be managed properly, and Games Workshop decided to explode it for a quick buck rather than try and fix it, you know? That is what happened. Like, they can cope and see all they want about AOS never being a commercial failure. It was a commercial failure. Its failure is literally why the previous CEO was fired from the company. Only reason AOS model sales is because they haven't kit bashed into 40K and old world models, right? You know, Games Workshop does not reveal the sales of individual, you know, like individual factions. I'd love to see the actual statistical breakdown of people who bought Age of Sigmar stuff when Old World came out, just as a source of, like, say, Skaven models or Lizardmen models, or Ogre models where they couldn't get them otherwise. I'd actually like to see that. That would be interesting info to account for if Games Workshop actually kept track of it, but they don't. You know, GW and Warhammer as is becoming burned soon. I don't think they'll go out of business, honestly. I don't think they'll go out of business, but they're gonna get hurt. This is going to hurt them. All right, let's continue reading. Okay. AOS, though, it's never fallen that low. From what we know, since 2018, it's been Games Workshop's second biggest product line after 40K. That is a lie. Heresy is their second. For Warhammer Fantasy Battle fans like us, it is wild. Even if we don't like admitting AOS counts as Warhammer Fantasy miniatures, internally it's been labeled as the greatest Warhammer Fantasy product. That is a lie. It was the greatest by lack of the old world existing. If you destroy something, if you were to knock down the world's tallest skyscraper and then build a new world's tallest skyscraper on top of it, and then say, well, this has always been the world's tallest skyscraper, because, you know, it's always been the world's tallest skyscraper since it existed. It's like, yeah, no shit. because you knocked down the previous one and built on top of it. When you set Warhammer Fantasy to 0 and replace Age of Sigmar with it, yeah, Warhammer Fantasy won't be the biggest Warhammer Fantasy game anymore. No fucking shit. It doesn't exist anymore. This is literally cope logic from these people. This has always been the AOS cope. Like, it's the biggest Warhammer Fantasy game. It sold more than Warhammer Fantasy the year it came out. Yeah, no shit, because they stopped selling Warhammer Fantasy. When you're selling more than 0, yeah, you're selling more than when the biggest other example is 0, and you're selling more than that. Yeah, it's like, no shit. No shit, it's doing better. No fucking shit. You have to set your margins for success higher than right off the floor, okay? In order for it to actually count for something. AOS basically won by default. Yeah, exactly. See, we're having another rant about Glaze Workshop. We are. You knocked the Burj Khalifa down for something taller. Yeah, exactly. If you physically remove the only other example and replace it with another example, yeah, the new example is gonna be the new number 1 because you physically removed the previous number 1 from existence. That is not how success works, okay? You actually have to have something to beat. You actually have to have something to compete against in order to win. It's like, anyway. So none of this makes sense. The people still at Games Workshop who gave us info don't get it either. Most of the people who worked on AOS are baffled. But maybe Phil Kelly leaving was the first sign that, if Phil Kelly quit writing fucking AOS, then yeah, it's bad. We were going to wait until after Adepticon to announce any of this because this is definitely going to trigger internal investigations at GW, but we just can't hold it in anymore. We think it's time to lay everything out. Okay, there might be, okay, yep, there is more, okay. As we posted a few days ago, Slaanesh is free, the realms that have been mapped, the cities of Sigmar, the Chorf cities, they're not gone. Because all of those known locations are being merged into a single planet, a battle world. The realms have been combined. 80% of what AOS has spent over a decade building is gone. And yes, this is all thanks to Archaon and the Skaven again. After all this, only the Skaven can call themselves winners. Their lore and their new model range is exactly as they are. They are definitely going to come out on top. After the gates of Azir were breached, Archaon destroyed everything. Again, you can think of it in that realm was utterly annihilated by the Everchosen. Let's see. Hold on, let's try and find it. But at the last moment, Sigmar pulled the trigger on a big plan he'd been preparing for centuries. He always wanted to merge the realms into a single new planet. In the final hour, he went through with it, so here we are. So what happens to Sigmar? Archaon killed him like you'd crush a child. His death is written to be even more infuriating than the death of Sanguinius in The End and the Death. You can tell whoever wrote this had it out for Sigmar, and maybe for AOS in general. What about the SCE? I don't think they can reforge it. Oh, Stormcast Eternals. I don't think they can reforge or anymore. Their god is dead. The Elven Pantheon, Nagash, the Ancestor Gods, Gorka Morka, all unaccounted for. Maybe Archaon killed them too. With the realms destroyed, Slaanesh is back among the Dark Gods, and they've accepted the Great Horned Rat as one of them. The 5 gods stand eternal. This new world is called the Last World. Its contents are made up of the religions that had maps in the regions that had maps in the 8 realms stitched together. And the whole thing is a blatant low-quality rehash of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. For example, the great nations of Hysh, home of the Lumineth, now exist as an island nation in the middle of an ocean. Age of Sigmar basically turned into the Empire, fragment, ignorant, religiously fanatical, and racially divided. We're pretty sure a lot of the characters AOS fans know and love died in the last world. They're not coming back. As for Archaon, I'm not sure. The information we got about him was almost comical. The Everchosen is gathering a chaos army at a portal in the far north of the last world. We're not even sure if the Everchosen is Archaon, but it sure sounds familiar. Who's exactly going to pay for this? AOS fans, will you? The only advice I can give right now is, if after all these lore changes, you're still willing to buy AOS 5th edition, we'll have way more Stormcast Eternal models with a grimmer, darker aesthetic than 4th, and a ton of Chaos Warriors covered in spikes and Chaos monsters. As for the rest, we don't know. That's all we wanted to say. We're exhausted, and we're still figuring out if we should scrap this account. This is so big, it's definitely going to come back on us. We have no idea if GW will change anything about 5th edition over the next 2 years. But the first draft is done, and we've seen plenty of concept art, so odds of a major rewrite are probably low. The one silver lining, and I mean the only one, is that the last world will have several new human factions. AOS not Grand Cathay, AOS not Nippon, AOS not Bretonia. I'm shaking my fucking head. I am shaking my fucking head right now. Like, okay, let's keep reading. Let's keep reading. I have things to say. I want to read what's left. I want to read the rest of it. That looks like it. Okay, let's go back to this. Okay. Oh my God, where do I start with this? Okay, where do I start with this? You know what? We don't need the example pictures anymore. We can fuck off back to here. Okay. Where do I begin with it? Like, where do I begin with this? Okay, so here's how I'm parsing this. What's happening? They're blowing up Age of Sigmar. They're gonna blow up Age of Sigmar in the next edition because it's not selling well. The setting failed, the model sales failed, the game failed. Anybody who actually pays attention to how Games Workshop carries things with Age of Sigmar could have told you it was failing. Like, anybody could have told you that, right? That Age of Sigmar is a failed game. Hey, Salt, how you doing? But yeah, so Age of Sigmar is failed. It is a flop. It has been a flop since first edition. It's been the redheaded stepchild of Games Workshop for 4 editions now. So since this apparent 5th edition it is a reboot. It is just a reboot, okay? They can say soft reboot all they want. It is just a reboot. So the way I'm parsing it is that they did the old world, right? Okay, so they did Total War Warhammer. They did the old world. They did the old world because of Total War Warhammer. We know that. Total War Warhammer proved to Games Workshop they were wrong about Warhammer Fantasy Battles. The setting wasn't bad. Games Workshop just sucked and just decided to nuke the setting for no reason, to their detriment, because Age of Sigmar fell on its face at release. and got their CEO fired. So we know they fucked up because they let Creative Assembly make Total War Warhammer, which is just the entirety of Warhammer Fantasy as a video game. And that did fucking numbers, right? They also did Vermintide. The Vermintide games are very popular. So those were popular. It convinces them to break out the old molds, and stuff like that. Start remaking Warhammer Fantasy as the old world. The old world has been doing better than Age of Sigmar. That is just fact. It has been doing better than Age of Sigmar. I've said before, we have no data on this. But I would not be surprised if a large percentage of sales for certain armies in Age of Sigmar are driven by the old world. Actually, hold on. Let's switch on back over here. All right, let's look at the GW website. Okay. By the way, guys, in case you're wondering how female custodes were doing, they're not even advertising them on the front of the site. That's all you need to know. Okay, right. Age of Sigmar. So, like a bunch of, okay, so like, let's see. Like they've got, old world, like, okay, let's look at the factions old world officially supports. They support beastmen, dwarves, the Empire, Cathay, High Elves, Bretonnia, Orcs and Goblins, Tomb Kings, Warriors of Chaos, and Wood Elves, right? Those are the officially supported armies. They said that the factions not included on this list will never be supported in the old world. Now let's look at AOS really quick, all right? You have, let's see, Daughters of Cain are basically Dark Elves. What else we got? The Seraphon are Lizard Men. What else? Skaven are, Skaven. And then you've got your Chaos Demons in the 4 Chaos God factions. You've got, Giants, you've got the Ogres. And then you could probably piece together vampire counts as well. So basically all the factions not present or not officially supported, considered legends in Old World, have model support in Age of Sigmar. I would not be surprised if a large portion of model sales for Age of Sigmar at this point are just old world players with their Legends rules for those factions buying models. Like that would not surprise me at all. And I know for a fact, even if Games Workshop will never openly say it, they know this. So what are they doing? What is their answer to this? Now, here's what they could do, right? They could, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I have long said at some point, something is going to give with Age of Sigmar. You can look up shit I've said on Twitter, on live streams, it doesn't matter. I've said that in the past. Something will give with Age of Sigmar, right? I've said it in the past a lot. Something is going to give. Because the success of Total War Warhammer, the success of the old world, the failure of Age of Sigmar, they know what people want, they know what doesn't work. They have stuck to Age of Sigmar because they feel like they have to. But now it feels like we have our answer to this question. I've said they're gonna do it for years. Now they're doing it. And in typical Games Workshop fashion, they are doing it in the stupidest way possible. In the stupidest, most ham-fisted, inconsistent, badly written, ridiculous, laughable way possible. So what were their options, right? What could they have done, right? What could they have done to fix things? So I will just say nuking AOS was always on the table. That was going to happen no matter what. They were going to nuke Age of Sigmar regardless of how this was going to turn out. So, they could have done one of two things. So, AOS gets nuked. The big boom happens. It's gone, right? Their options were pretend the end times never happened, carry on from Storm of Chaos. Carry on from Storm of Chaos in the old world. They would have to retcon a few things in Storm of Chaos, don't get me wrong. It wouldn't be retcon free. They wouldn't be able to do it retcon free, but a couple retcons here and there, maybe a little creative writing. Get back to the old world, right? Support current old world and continue from, Warhammer Fantasy where you were, with the end times never happening. That was one option. They apparently decided to go with the other option because Games Workshop, for just some reason, can't fucking let go. So what did they do instead? This is the one they've apparently gone with. They blew up Age of Sigmar, but rather than stop doing Age of Sigmar, they're going to continue Age of Sigmar, but it's not Age of Sigmar, but it's Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar is gone. It's blown up. It doesn't exist anymore. Like, Sigmar pushed the kill everything button. That's what they said. Age of Sigmar is gone. But Age of Sigmar isn't gone. It's just been now rebooted into a single planet. And we're just gonna turn it into a dumber, less interesting version of Warhammer Fantasy Battles like it was, but with all the Marvelification and shitification of modern GW, rather than the gritty fantasy setting that Warhammer Fantasy was. That is what they've gone with. And on top of it, we're gonna look at this again. They decided to, okay, so because Games Workshop is deathly afraid of, men having characters to look up to, they kill Sigmar. They have the people who still worship Sigmar being a bunch of in their eyes anyway, horrifically racist, sexist, religious fundamentalists. And then the other half of Sigmar's nation worships Tal now, who's one of the deities from Warhammer Fantasy. Hey, Ginger Blades, how you doing? The other half worships Tall, and they're apparently an open, progressive, left-leaning, woke medieval society. This fucking company, I swear to God. Killing Sigmar. Yeah, no, they're killing Sigmar. They're blowing up Age of Sigmar. They're rebooting it into Age of Sigmar 2, The Quickening. And it's going to take place on one planet now, and Sigmar's dead. And they're going to bring back shitty versions of Warhammer Fantasy factions, like, shitty versions of Warhammer Fantasy factions to, like, try and get the old world players in there, which is, I don't think is going to work. They're just going to play the old world. Why would they go to the old world already has some problems in terms of how they're writing it, right? But it's not as bad as Age of Sigmar. This is just going to be the old world, but lame and gay. Why the hell would you want to fucking play that when you could play the old world? If they go full Grimdark, it'll succeed. No, they won't. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, this isn't going to succeed. Nope. Nope. I'm not even going to entertain the argument it could succeed. You have to look at this from the perspective of a desperate company doing desperate things in a desperate situation. That's how you have to look at it. That's how you have to look at it, all right? Okay. This is a failure at birth, exactly. So here's what you have to understand. If they actually make it good though, no. You see, okay, Chris, here's the problem. Okay? What they're doing. So, okay, when you do something like this, we're gonna look at this from a writing perspective, right? We're gonna look at this from a writing perspective. When what you're doing isn't working in terms of writing, you have to look at what is working and do more of that, right? And while I bring up writing, this also counts for business. You have to stick to what works and discard what doesn't. The old world works. Age of Sigmar doesn't work. By blowing up Age of Sigmar and trying to make some weird chimeric abomination that's a mix of both, all you're going to do is piss off the few Age of Sigmar customers that you have left and attract none of the old world fans. The old world players don't want Age of Sigmar. They want the old world, Warhammer Fantasy. The AOS players don't want the old world. They want Age of Sigmar. There's not a lot of them, not enough to sustain the game, but the few that they have, that's what they want. What you have are two completely diametrically opposed fandoms for two completely diametrically opposed settings. It doesn't matter if one was born from the other. They are so different now that they are two different settings. And honestly, this is what you call the golden mean fallacy, all right? This is a logical fallacy called the golden mean. It's the idea that the way to solve two diametrically opposed problems that cannot coexist is to meet in the middle. That's what the last world is. They are trying to meet in the middle with old world and AOS, and that is not going to work. Nobody is going to like that. Nobody likes Age of Sigmar is going to like it because it's going to be too much the old world. Nobody who likes the old world is going to like it because it's too Age of Sigmar. If the Amazon show succeeds, GW will go whatever direction the show takes. I mean, that's gonna assume, you know, that's going to assume that, what do you call it, is there to begin with. It's gonna assume, you know, Warhammer is there to begin with when this comes out. Like, I hate to say it, they're not in the best position right now. Like, no shit. GW is not in a good position right now. In fact, it's kinda, oh, hold on, ad break. We got an ad break starting in 20 seconds on YouTube. I mean, on Twitch. I will be right back when the ad break is over, everyone. I don't want anyone to miss out on the discussion, so hang on for the next little over 3 minutes. I'll be right back.
Clear. Loud, clear. Pacific. 4423 live. We'll get them all station.
Command cut. C7?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50.
What you
out there?
Yes, clear.
Loud, clear. In the suspicion. Pacific. 4423 live. We'll get them all station.
Command cut. C7?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50.
What you
out there?
Yes, clear.
Loud, clear. In the suspicion. Pacific. 4423 live. We'll get them all station.
Command cut. C7?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50.
What you
out there?
Yes, clear.
Loud, clear. In the suspicion. Pacific. 4423 live. We'll get them all station.
Command cut. C7?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50.
What you
out there?
Yes, clear.
Loud, clear. In the suspicion. Pacific. 4423 live. We'll get them all station.
Command cut. C7?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50.
What you
out there?
Yes, clear.
Loud, clear. In the suspicion. Pacific. 4423 live. We'll get them all station.
Command cut. C7?
Yes, ma'am. We'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50.
What you
out there?
Yes, clear.
Loud, clear.
On man's cut. C7?
I'm back. I'm back. Right. What the shit was I talking about before we went to AFK from a stream? Right. Anybody else getting flashbacks of when the fuck did Age of Sigmar come out? Like originally? When did that shit come out? No. Hey, listen. 2015, right? Close enough. We're getting, okay. It's 2015. Warhammer 40K is failing. Warhammer Fantasy Battles flopped. They're rebooting Warhammer Fantasy. 2026. Warhammer 40K is failing. Warhammer Age of Sigmar is flopped. They're rebooting Age of Sigmar. Oh my god. You can't make this shit up, man. You can't write this shit. It's like, I wish I could make humor this good, where they just fuck up this bad. What did Warhammer Fantasy last? It came out in like the fucking 80s. It was their original Warhammer game. It was like their first Warhammer game that came out. Also, I noticed my chat bot is not working. I've been trying to fix that in the background while I've been talking, but yeah, it won't let me fix it. It's like pottery. It rhymes. Yeah, exactly. Let's wait 1 decade and then fuck up and exactly let's fuck up, wait, start recovering, wait a decade and then fuck up again. Yeah, it's almost like deleting 35 years of lore has never worked for Games Workshop every time they've tried it. The fact is, whoever puts up the money has the biggest say, and they will have an agenda. You can see Henry walking away. Well, Henry Cavill doesn't care about Age of Sigmar, so. But if Games Workshop pushes this shit into Warhammer 40K too hard, I can see him walking away. Absolutely. All right, hold up. Give me one moment while I try something. I'm fucking with my. Does this work? Yes, it does. Okay, it's the one that's supposed to go off every 30 minutes that's not working. Hey, okay, here's a question. Could somebody in any of my chats, I just want to test this real quick, type !Discord and see if it pops up. I just want to test this real quick, and I've got guinea pigs here. It is not working. Okay, all right. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna have to. Well, after stream, I'll have to unfuck my bots. All right. Yeah, it's not working. It's not working. Ratman and 40K would be lit. You feel like Tyranids kind of act as them. Well, if you ask a Redditor, then humans are the Skaven of 40K, but Redditors don't have a right to opinion on anything. So yeah. Let's go back to here. What a fuck ass situation this is. Yeah, I know, we got scuff. Hold on. I will have to fix it another time. Because apparently the chat options on the Restream website are a nebulous thing that don't always exist, and I have to find them. It's like GW and Trench Crusade, the bots don't work. Yeah, exactly. My God. I'm kind of at a point where it's like, I really don't know what more there is to say on this situation. It's just stupid. They think doing the thing they did before and all the ways they did it wrong is gonna fix the problem? No. Nobody's gonna buy into fucking this bullshit. The fact that Skaven is exclusively fantasy is one of the things that made it special. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think everything in fantasy needs to be in 40K, and I kind of prefer it when GW thinks the same thing. I kind of accept the squats coming back, you know, Leagues of Votann, because they existed before and just got cut out pointlessly, so that's a little different, but I don't think everything needs to be a 1-1. If only there was a 40K with Ratmen clans, free digital rules, alternating activation, no additions, just one clear update every year. Oh, you mean one-page rules? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people, don't buy fucking, what do you call it? Don't buy Warhammer 40K. Just get one-page rules. It's free, and it works with Games Workshop models. Okay, Super Jesse, let me clarify that. I'm not editing any videos on the topic anymore. Because I don't want to put the effort into editing, like spending a day of my free time editing a video that's, you know, just a topic that depresses me. I don't mind talking about it live, that's nothing. It's, you know, it's this bullshit where, like, I have to think, okay, I could be doing anything else right now on something I want to talk about, but nope, I'm editing a video on something I hate. That's the issue. It won't fix the games, what can? I'm gonna be honest, what Games Workshop needs to do if they want to fix their downfall, they need to completely retcon Age of Sigmar out of existence and pivot back to Warhammer Fantasy, like I said. Yes, Aeon, yes we are. Yeah, we're talking about how they're blowing up Age of Sigmar to try to make some weird hybrid of the old world and Age of Sigmar that's just gonna appeal to no one. Yeah, they need to blow up Age of Sigmar for good instead of try to, you know, make it limp along the way they are. They need to they need to completely remove female custodes from the setting. And for this is for 40K, they need to completely remove female custodes from the setting. And it's okay if the Primarchs come back, but they need to pivot away from the Marvelified writing where the whole setting hinges on, you know, the same 20 to 40 characters. And they need to go back to where it's just a wide open universe full of stories being told from all over the place. They need to go back to that. That was when 40K was good, that's what it focused on narratively. With all like the big meta plot just kind of happening in the background, you know? Not stagnant, but not at the same time so laser focused on a few battles that everything else was ignored. That's what they need to do for 40K. And they need to get rid of female custodes. They just need to go. God knows those models look fucking mannish enough that you can just pass them off as male. So yeah. 10-year lore moratorium at minimum. You know what they also need to do? They also need, I'll go this far. They need to completely revamp the rules to 40K to be more like Grimdark Future with like, you know, room for smaller armies, a room for smaller armies to, add more price points to join in. They need to do alternating activation. They need to make the terrain rules make sense because they've never had good terrain rules. They need to do a lot to fix Warhammer, but at the bare minimum, they need to get the lore back on track with 40K. They really need to get the lore back on track. It's not appealing to anyone. I want more guardsmen and Tau stories of them working together to kick Xeno's ass. I mean, listen, the first Caiaphas Cain book was about that, and honestly, it was good. The blatant Marvelification has been going on for less than that, IMO. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, the Marvelification wasn't as bad in 8th and early 9th, and then about mid 9th edition is where it really started to kick off and become a problem. And now it's all it is, you know? Now that's all it is. Like that's honestly all it is right now, and that's the problem. Marvel, but no, it's Warhammer but Marvel. It's Warhammer but Marvel, and yeah, it sucks because of that. Like, people want to be able to have stories in this big wide galaxy. They don't want it to just be that, like I said, the same 20, 30, maybe 40 characters all in the same fucking battles for the fate of the galaxy every time, you know? Just 40K doesn't work like that. It was never supposed to be that kind of setting. Turning it into one isn't making it better, it's just making it worse. Okay, I found the... Okay, my options for, I guess my options for fucking, restream chat have just for the bot have just disappeared because, I can't find them. Thanks, Restream. Very cool. Thank you for fucking up on my stream. It gives the same energy as Bandai Sunrise with the Eternal One-Year War. So, okay, no. I'm not going to make that comparison. I'm not going to make that comparison at all. Because the One-Year War side stories actually fucking work. One-Year War side stories actually work. They can be bad, right? They can be badly made, like Requiem for Vengeance is proof of that. But the idea is sound, you know? The idea is sound. Turning a setting that was a wide open sandbox into a narrow theme park is not sound. It kills what made the setting work. They can be bees. Yes, Ash, this is good news. They can be bees. They can finally be a bee, a pet. They will live for 30 years. I'm sorry. Hi, Ash, how you doing? What do you expect from Netflix? They made a woke shit-ass version of Gundam with the most hideous designs ever. Doing okay? Me? I'm doing fine. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, honestly. Be me. Be a bee. Yeah, exactly, Yeti. You get it. This is so fucking stupid. Thank you for that. My heart rate's fine, everyone. But don't worry. I'm very much appreciating the slow drip feed of new stuff and such in 6th and 7th. Okay. Okay, you see, here's the thing. 6th and 7th edition were a problem. They were not good editions. 6th was the worst edition they ever had. 6th edition only lasted a year. And they shit out 7th to try to save it. And then when 7th failed, they shit out 8th. And 8th honestly probably saved Warhammer 40k. A lot of people don't realize that. But it's that mid 9th edition pivot to Marvelized storytelling that right now is the problem. That and the progressive bullshit, because look, listen, would it kill Games Workshop to have a white male human character in the Imperial Guard? Like leading an army? Would that fucking kill them now? Netflix Gundam introduced the first and probably only MILF main character. Don't get me started on the writing of that character. Just don't. I don't want children to be separated anymore, so I'm not going to go home to Side 3 to be with my child. I'm going to stay in Africa to continue the war to ensure there's more death and more children are rendered war orphans. Like, fuck off. Fuck off with that. It's like somebody who doesn't understand Tamino trying to write like Tamino. To be fair, Yarick is back. Well, okay, I'm gonna go over my opinion on Yarick with, again, on the whole Yarick thing, because unfortunately, I can't have the VOD up for Friday's stream where I actually went into this. They should have let Yarick stay dead. The thing that honestly would have been better for them to do would be to have, and I said this, if they wanted to do that cinematic, have the cinematic play out as it was with just the Cadians in the Krieg, and then the planetary governor is killed by a random Steel Legion soldier who gets on the mic and says, you know, basically rallies the troops by reminding them of Yarick and what he fought for. And then after that speech, you see the Steel Legion take the field and charge the orcs, you know, and get fighting. That would have been excellent. They shouldn't have brought Yarick back. They should have brought Steel Legion back in memory of Yarick's sacrifice for the Imperium. That I would have liked. I love Commissar Yarick as a character. I don't think bringing him back was the right move. So they bring back Yarick, kill off the hot Irish Ultramarine captain in Chiron. These fuckers don't know how to manage fan favorites vis-a-vis other characters. Yeah, exactly. They brought Yarick back, but they canonically killed off the army he led. You know? Like, they wanted to have, like, it's really fucking funny too, you know, with Games Workshop pushing all this progressive bullshit into Warhammer. Like, you know, killing off Sigmar because he's a toxic male, and then making half of the Empire now in Age of Sigmar 2: The Quickening a fucking woke, progressive, cosmopolitan medieval empire, like out of every fucking Disney fantasy setting, the Disney and Amazon fantasy setting that's come out in the past like 10 years. or since like 2020 at the minimum. Like do that, but don't bring back the old Warhammer Fantasy, the thing people liked, where you could have your before, you could have your 8 Time of 3 Empires period of history in the old world, and you could have your fucking, you could have, old, Warhammer Fantasy with Karl Franz and fucking Vultan and fucking old Archaon and, Grimgor, was it Grimgor Ironhide? Was that his name? The orc war boss who kicked Archaon in the nuts so hard he fucking died? You can have all that shit back. It'd be fucking rad. We can't have that, can we? Like I said, Games Workshop pushing this progressive bullshit, but when they wanted to give Titus a black squad mate, rather than have it be Chiron, they kill Chiron and have it be Mataris from in the Secret Level episode. Progressive company, everyone. They met their hard limit on black male characters for Titus to be around, so they had to kill one. Obviously, you gotta have that equality, right? You can't have 2 black guys and an Asian beside Titus. It has to be 1 black guy and 1 Asian. Can't have 2. That's one. That's two. That's 1 too many. It's like the it's like the golden. Okay, you mean the Celestial Lions? The Celestial Lions. Yeah, right, exactly. Mr. Proud woke progressive Aaron Dembski Bowden creates a chapter of Space Marines based on African a bunch of black Space Marines based on African culture, and then kills off the entire chapter across 2 books. What did he mean by this? What did he mean by this? By the way, don't get me wrong, people. Don't get me wrong. Hold on a minute. I want to, while we're talking about Games Workshop, fucking up Warhammer with woke bullshit. Did that come out this week? I think it came out this week. Right. This bullshit. The Horus Heresy Kai, right? Where they're re-releasing the Horus Heresy, but they're gonna only release the 12 or so main books that are like the core of the plot. I'm making a bet right now. I'm making a bet right now, okay? This is on pre-order. Nobody has received a copy of this. If it doesn't happen in this specific book, it will happen in others. Mark my word. Write this down, clip this, I don't care. At some point in these re-released Horus Heresy books, they will insert female custodes and then they will only release this version of those books in the future and be like, oh, look, they were always there, you stupid chuds. You were just seeing things when you said they didn't exist. They're gonna do that. They're gonna do that. Mark my word. They're gonna fucking do that. The bastards want to rewrite the heresy will be blatant, shameless retcon. Yeah, they're gonna retcon shit in these books, but I think the thing they will primarily retcon, they will put female custodes in here. If I had to wager a guess, at the bare minimum, it's because Master of Mankind is one of the books they're going to re-release, right? One of the books in this series of re-releases for Horus Heresy is going to be Master of Mankind. They have admitted as such. When they get to, at the bare minimum, when they get to Master of Mankind, they are going to put female custodes into that book. They're going to retcon them into the setting through the re-release of Master of Mankind. Now I know what all of you are thinking. How could they possibly, you know, rectify that with things like, you know, audiobooks and stuff that already exist? Well, here's the thing. When this came out, when this version of Horus Rising came out, they released a new audiobook for it. There's your proof. They're redoing the audiobooks too. And on Thousand Suns, I bet that they were female custodians of the Battle of Prospero. I don't know if Battle of Prospero is one of the ones they're going to be re-releasing, but it would not surprise me at all. I'd have to find the list again somewhere. It's the same thing 343 did to retcon Forerunners and humans as different species. Yeah, I remember that. I remember a lot of Halo fans were not happy about that as well. Hold on. While we have this up, I'm gonna see if I can find the article where they first announced this fuck-ass re-release of Horus Heresy. Here we go. I think it was where they announced the, what do you call it? The female custodes was when they announced that, which is which is ominous, by the way. Okay, I think I'm going too far back. They did that in the Halo CE anniversary, and it pisses me off to this day. Yeah. No, it wasn't Heir of Ruin. Heir of Ruin was on track with the old lore. In fact, Carrion Lord of the Imperium said specifically that there are only male custodes. So, yeah. Man, I'm looking for the article on this. I could have sworn there was an article about it. I cannot find the article, but of course, you know, I'm not surprised I can't find the article because the Warhammer community website is you know, a shit-ass website on the best of days. I probably have to go back a couple of months. Which, you know, I don't fancy doing because that's going to take a while. But I do want to. They put out the list of the books when they announced it, and I want to find it. Hold on. I think I found it. Because I think it was the New Year preview where they announced that. Okay, I found the page for that. No, they don't have it there because of fucking course. All right. Main page. Do a Google search. That's gonna be my next step. I'm gonna check one more thing and then I'll just search for it on Google. Hold on. Okay, that's weird. They don't have it there either. Oh, okay, I found it. Okay. Okay, I found the list. Hold on. I found the list. Let's zoom in. The 12 books will be Horus Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, Flight of the Eisenstein, Fulgrim, The First Heretic, Prospero Burns, No Fear, Betrayer, Praetorian of Dorn, Master of Mankind, and Slaves of Darkness. Those are, okay, so yeah, you know what? I take it back. They're gonna start retconning female custodes in Prospero Burns. I'm telling you, that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Because Games Workshop is going through, you know what, when Rick Priestley left Games Workshop, he was all like, you know, he left around the time, you know, you saw fucking, what do you call it happening? Like 6th and 7th edition, Age of Sigmar, all that bad stuff. And he said in an interview, the way Games Workshop are going, they're positioning themselves to have another bad 10 years. And you know what? I believe it. I believe it at this point. You're quite pleased that Conflict 47 players when the stupid conversation of female super soldiers pops up and we just tell these dumb progs to play Soviets. Yeah, well, I mean, they're already communists. Like, why not at that point? Like literally just, you're already a fucking commie. Just play the fucking commies. Like, what's wrong with you? Oh man. The Soviets get female super soldiers. Of course they do. Of course they do. I still say they should have fleshed out the Sisters of Science of retconning female custodes. Yeah. Yeah, no, like legit, like listen, the Sisters of Silence have been soft retconned out of the setting, just like Steel Legion. Am I doing okay? I'm just yawning. I'm fine. I'm just yawning. Like, oh my God. I'm trying to find, you know, things to say, but yeah. I'm trying to find things to say, but it's just, you reach a point where it's just like, the stupidness kind of speaks for itself, you know? Like, the self-destructive tendencies, you don't even need to comment on them. You just need to point at them and be like, look over there. But Sisters of Silence of Boom Armor, you heckin' shut. Yeah, I guess, but yeah, and guess what? So do the female custodes. What's your fucking point? Not to you, Yeti. I mean, like, the people who bitch and moan about boob armor. Suddenly it's okay, right? Suddenly boob armor is okay now that it's like, you know, they got to completely emasculate, you know, a faction that represents men. Think GW have agreed to do female Space Marines with their investors? You know what? I'm gonna be honest, Duppy, I'm gonna be honest. I was questioning whether I wanted to, you know, do a live react to the Adepticon on Wednesday. And the reason I agreed to it was basically because they're going to be announcing 11th edition at Adepticon. I kind of want to see if they do it or not. You know? I kind of want to see if they're going to do the female Space Marines. Because we know they're gonna. Like, those heads from that one kit exist for a reason. Like, everybody, okay, like, everybody pinged those as, remember everybody pinged those as female? Like, I remember, oh, what's this? Oh, thank you. FNA Around Productions for the $5 super chat.
So many things are self-evident that I don't owe anyone who doesn't get it an explanation. That's one of the best habits I picked up as I've matured.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, you know? It really is like that. It's like, there's a point where the people who are trying to deny this isn't happening, you know, the tourists, there's two kinds of people who do that, tourists and people in denial. There reaches a point where you're trying to show them the ship is sinking, and eventually you just have to say, okay, die with the ship. You know what I mean? Like, there reaches a point where you just gotta stop trying to explain shit to people. It's like all the people who, like, you know, keep saying, oh, Boemon, didn't you quit Warhammer? It's like, you fucking wish I quit Warhammer. I'm just gonna become worse. I'm just gonna become worse because I have zero reason to defend it now, because I can just stick with the parts that I like and just constantly call you a pig-eating slop because you keep shoveling this swill down your throat every time GW squats to shit it in your mouth. If they ever full release female Space Marines in Warhammer, I'm spending on Gunpla in spite of it. Yeah. I mean, Gunpla's better than fucking 40k minis anyway. And I don't mean that just because I like Gundam and I'm mad at GW. That's just truth. Like, that's just truth. You'd rather burn money on Marvel figures? I mean, honestly, that's probably the, you know, the best, a good alternate. And like, even fucking Marvel, as bad as it is right now, is not as bad as Warhammer. At least when the comic book publishers do shit this stupid, they actually just create a new timeline. Games Workshop doesn't even do that. Like, fuck me. It's cheaper too. Yeah, it is cheaper. Like, it tells you a lot when the really expensive Gunpla are just like specialist ones, you know? Specialist ones, like say the fucking, what is it? The one new one for the Hathaway movie. I don't want to say what it is. Oh, fuck it. It's the Gundam. It starts with an A. It's like a mass-produced new Gundam. Like that one. That one's like $127 or something, but that's a big ass kit though. There's a lot of shit in that kit. There's more plastic in that kit than an Imperial Knight, and it's still a little cheaper. If they make female Space Marines, they're going to draw the worst kind of porn of them. Yeah, Yeti, I know your art style, and I know you would, all right? I know you would. Some of the high grades are the size of Imperial Knights, and somehow it's cheaper. Yeah, I want to say the Kshatriya is like that. It's like, I could get it for like $60 at like Hobby Lobby or some shit. Just as much plastic in the box as a Knight, and somehow a third the price. Just burn money on totally not recast of Forge World models. Just paint some Forge World Deathcore Krieg with the leather mask and not the new ones. Those old Deathcore were way better than the new ones, I think. Oh gosh, the boomers are gonna have a thrill with that shit. Which with what shit? Hold on. Infinity by Corvus Belli is an alternative. Their fantasies a touch of oh yeah, the Alphabet Mafia, unfortunately. I will say though, if you're talking, are you talking about that sci-fi setting that has like a unified spaceship game, you know, small scale, you know, what do you call what's the scale? Epic 40k scale game, and now they're working on a 40k scale game, like that one. That looks neat, I'm not gonna lie. How much is Gundam gonna rot soon as Tamino's dead? Not at all. Not at all. Tamino hasn't been involved with the production of a Gundam. Like, the last Gundam anime he made was G-Reco. He's only been on and off back to the franchise. Like, there's probably, in terms of like animated series, just as much non-Tamino Gundam as Tamino Gundam now. And Gundam has done fine, honestly. Oh, you meant to say Gooners. Okay. Oh, okay. My bad. I can't read. I can't read. I just can't fucking read. That's my fault. Drop Zone, Drop Fleet Commander. That's the one. Thank you. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you. Yeah, Drop Zone and Drop Fleet Commander. Yeah, that's the one. That's what I meant. That looks interesting. I'm not gonna lie. You can get Ukrainian and Russian totally not recast models for a fraction of what GW, but you can. I found it funny that, you know, GW made a big deal about how they're never going to sell to Russia again because of the war in Ukraine, and they stopped selling to Ukraine as well because of the recasting. Just in case you thought that shit wasn't a virtue signal, you know? G-Reco is peak, and I've only seen the first 2 parts. That I have not seen G-Reco. I'm on our Discord server. I'm lining it up for when, because we're going through Gundam on Monday nights. We're continuing Gundam Wing tonight at 9. And we're gonna watch Gundam X after. Then after that, we're gonna watch G-Reco and Turn A, because they're both part of the Universal Century timeline. And Tamino wrote G-Reco to take place after Turn A, but Sunrise said G-Reco takes place before Turn A. And I'm gonna be honest, as much as Tamino wrote G-Reco to take place after Turn A, I think it makes more sense as taking place before. Hey, Avernus, how you doing? I heard they axed a Valhallan new reboot because of the Oh wait, what? So they axed a reboot of the Valhallan Ice Warriors because of the Ukraine war. Yeah, guess what? We know for a fact that the first brand new army for Old World was going to be Kislev. They axed Kislev because of it too. Just in case you thought GW weren't complete retards, we know for a fact now that we never got Kislev in Old World because of Ukraine's war. So yeah.
Warning.
Oh, Dark Innovator, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Crusade. Happy to have you here. You beg your pardon? Yeah, no, okay. If you've played Total War Warhammer, the Kislev faction, we were supposed to get them on tabletop. They were the first brand new army previewed in the design phase for the Old World. GW axed the army, and they're not going to release it now because of the war in Ukraine. They would have printed money by releasing Kislev, right? But you got to realize something.
Warning.
And this is something that, hi, DFW Dwegham, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Crusade. Happy to have you here. But something you got to realize about this company, they're not doing it. Okay. USAID is dead. BlackRock can't fund woke initiatives anymore. They're not doing this. Games Workshop is not doing this for money at this point. They're doing it for ideology and love of the game. The people running Games Workshop right now are doing this just because the corporate side the corporate end is insular and doesn't know what the customers want. The production end is woke. So one side doesn't know that the side that should be ordering the course correction doesn't know they have to course correct because they're idiots. The side that's that's causing the problem they need to course correct from don't care if they're sinking the company. They got an ideology to push. The only thing you can really hope at this point is that the licensed products, the video games and stuff, that the developers of the licensed games actually want to make money and won't push the woke shit, like we saw with Space Marine 2, right? That's if you want Warhammer to survive what's coming, that's what you have to hope. Side pushing the ideologies, lying to the course correctors. Exactly. Basically, the navigator is telling the pilot that they don't need to turn, and that the black hole in front of the ship, it's nothing to worry about. Don't worry. Just ignore the time dilation. It's nothing to be concerned about. Hirsch put it best, they're foregoing short-term monetary gain for long-term cultural victory. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. They're not going to get either. That's the problem. They're not going to get either. They lost culturally already. And because they never had that cultural footstep they really want, they certainly tried to force it. But it never took. And now they've utterly lost culturally, and they're still trying to force it, but nobody's gonna fucking buy it. The FOMO boxes for female custodes did not sell out because they're popular. They sold out because the scalpers are used to being able to sell things for a decent amount of money. And it's really funny because that's just going to convince Games Workshop people wanted this and to move on with it. And it's just going to make things worse for them because Games Workshop has never, ever tried to do anything about scalpers buying up all their FOMO boxes. So they're just getting more confirmation bias about the whole thing with 40K. And it's only going to get worse. I don't think Games Workshop will go under, but there will be a crash. There will be a very heavy crash because they can't avoid it forever. That's assuming the people who need to course correct aren't in on it too. Well, okay, that's the thing you gotta realize, Gingerblade's about corporate culture. Okay, in creative fields like this, like game development, there's generally two layers. There's the corporate layer and the creative layer, right? The corporate layer is the layer in charge, but the corporate layer will, generally speaking, divert to the judgment of the creative layer on certain things, especially where market demographics are concerned, Like, how does, when the corporate element makes decisions that affect the creative end, it is generally from a money-making perspective. You can see this from say, like when you've got a game in development, right? You've got, let's hypothetical scenario, okay? You've got a video game in development, okay? And the video game in development the development is going along fine, right? Everything is fine. Nothing is fucking up. And then all of a sudden, midway through development, they decide to turn it into a live service game with microtransactions and season passes. That's a corporate level decision, right? The corporate end of things generally doesn't follow cultural trends. It follows business trends. Now, generally speaking, the creative end of things that has been, the creative end of things will follow the, they will generally follow the social trends because that tends to be something that creatives are plugged into more than the corporate end. The corporate end doesn't give a shit, they just want money, all right? They don't give a shit about social trends. In fact, I'd be surprised if they even knew what the social trends actually were. And basically, they have to rely on the creative end to a degree to inform them. And when you have an ideologically captured creative end, all they're going to inform the corporate end of is that everything we're doing creatively is fine. It's fine, it's what people want. And the corporate end will be like, okay, and let them go about their work. So generally speaking, when you see the corporate end of things try to do a hard reset on creative culture, like from woke to normal, that is because the woke end of things affected financials bad enough that the corporate end finally took notice. Alternatively, because something happened, like say all of a sudden BlackRock can't just keep giving them infinite free money for everything anymore. That's another factor. Most of these corporate people, like the CEO end of things making these decisions, don't really know about these initiatives. They're just being given money, and as long as the money is flowing, they don't care. So you have, these ideologically captured creatives, and we're going back to Games Workshop now. You have these ideologically captured creatives running the show in Games Workshop, not completely, but they have the ear of corporate. But there is, from what we can tell, a civil war in Games Workshop between the two halves of the creative team. Generally speaking, the people that are trying to preserve Warhammer are the people running the Old World and Horus Heresy. Very clearly, the Horus Heresy people these people have lost ground recently because the female Custodes minis happened. I just breathed root beer. That sucks. They're trying to cater to an audience that doesn't exist. Yeah, exactly. Nobody buys the woke shit. And I'll tell you this much right now. Games Workshop has been able to get by on the fact when they added woke shit, it was subtle enough to ignore from their customer base, right? Like it was subtle enough to ignore from their customer base, but the customer base started to notice. And now with female Custodes being in minis, it's officially flooded to, it's flooded over to a point where you can't ignore it, right? Like you can ignore the turd water rising from a backed up toilet right up until it touches your balls. And then at that point, that's the point where you're like, what the fuck, right? When the female Custodes minis appeared and we knew they physically existed, that was the moment cold shit water touched balls. And in that moment, a lot of people knew that further investment in Warhammer is not going to be something they'll be doing. Or it starts to spill on the floor of the bathroom. Oh, no, trust me. Listen, as somebody who has been the victim of a backed up toilet before, while sitting on it, the cold shit water touches your balls before it starts to flow over. That will be your first indicator. Horus Heresy fall-off started earlier with unit redesigns, like with the Mark III and Phobos pattern bolt guns. I'd argue you could see some of the influence earlier, but I'd say I know for a fact the new Horus Heresy edition didn't sell well. But I will say this much, it was not that people could ignore it up until the female Custodes models appeared. That was really the warning light that the problem can't be ignored for a lot of people now. That's when they started resorting to 3D printing and downloading the PDF. Yeah, exactly. Exactly with the PDFs. The G in ESG is governance. Yeah, Victus, I know all about ESG and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I guarantee you, your average corporate boardroom does not give a fuck. I guarantee you, most of them probably didn't even read the paperwork about it. About what was going on. Like, you have to understand, most of these corporate people are stupid. They're stupid people who should probably not be in those positions. They're kind of, the best analogy I can give them They're like senators and representatives voting on bills they don't read. Okay, we have another ad coming up in 1 minute. I'm going to go AFK again for this for this ad break for 3 minutes. I will be back when it's over. What if we go to BattleTech? I mean, listen, okay, I'll say this real quick before the ad break starts. Classic BattleTech ain't bad. Classic BattleTech ain't bad. Alpha Strike is pretty good too, actually, even though CGL releases it. But honestly, anything before the Dark Age is legit for BattleTech. Like, do the classic BattleTech stuff. Find the old books. Honestly, don't get the new stuff that CGL releases. All right, ad break in 9 seconds. I gotta go AFK. I'll be back when the ad break ends, everyone. So yeah, stick around. I will be back.
Yes, clear. Loud and clear. In the suspicious Pacific. 4423 live, we'll get the mobile station. On the Endcon. C7?
Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50.
What you out there? Yes, clear. Loud and clear. In the suspicious Pacific. 4423 live, we'll get the mobile station.
On the Endcon. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50.
What you out there? Yes, clear. Loud and clear. In the suspicious Pacific. 4423 live, we'll get the mobile station.
On the Endcon. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50. Radio is 6300 Blackwell.
What you out there? Yes, clear. Loud and clear. In the suspicious Pacific. 4423 live, we'll get the mobile station.
On the Endcon. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50. Radio is 6300 Blackwell.
What you out there? Yes, clear. Loud and clear. In the suspicious Pacific. 4423 live, we'll get the mobile station.
On the Endcon. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 and 2 will both be a 50. Radio is 6300 Blackwell.
What you out there? Yes, clear. Loud and clear. In the suspicious Pacific. 4423 live, we'll get the mobile station.
On the Endcon. C7? Yes, ma'am, we'll be clear, and 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50. 224, I was going out there. 233 will be clear on the N4 E Edward, and 2 will both be a 50.
Yes, clear. Loud and clear.
We're back, everyone. Right. My God. What a day. What a day. Ugh. Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, honestly, at this point, I just kind of expected, if I'm being honest. Bless you. That was a weak-ass burp on my part. I can do better. Bo needs to add some ice cream to his root beer. No. I'm trying to lose weight. I haven't eaten ice cream in like a year at this point. I haven't eaten ice cream in like a year. Like, this root beer I'm drinking is diet. There's like, yeah. I've basically cut sugar completely from my diet in like all its forms. I'll just say one final thing about Conflict 47. My book arrived over the weekend. I've been enjoying it so far. That's good, Gingerblades. It's good to hear. I don't suppose you read up on my messages during sent the break. Let me back up a little bit. Oh, about BattleTech being egalitarian. I mean, but listen, so was 40K. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be completely honest. You know, having all male or all female factions is not discrimination. The weird thing, though, is just the weirdos who think that an all male faction is discrimination, but an all female one isn't for some reason. You have something sweet every once in a while as a treat, though. I try not to. I try to go the ultra stoic route of no, not at all, you know? Bug an A&W for me. Honestly, it's what I'm drinking. It's A&W Zero Sugar Root Beer. It actually doesn't taste bad. It actually tastes pretty good. I'm gonna be honest. I've reached a point where zero sugar and diet sodas taste better to me than sugary sodas. Like the sugariness tastes cloying to me. I don't like it. Ugh. Cold take, corporate incompetence is the reason more and more people and more reasons why indie is slowly becoming the norm for many industries like comics, games, movies, content creation. Well, yeah, indie and AA, honestly, indie and AA gaming have been taking over from AAA. AA games have been succeeding far more than AAA. A successful AAA game is rare now, honestly. The far left is this weird vendetta against men and it needs to stop. Hey, guys. Y'all saw what happened with fucking, what is it, Zenless Zone Zero, right? Y'all saw that? They released this new female character and apparently, they released some new female character and apparently all the fucking, like, some gay bar-loving furry decided to say, this is shit and it shouldn't exist. You know what? I'm just gonna say it. Like, I know it's weird because I might sound weird because I'm gay myself. I'm so sick of gay people. Like, y'all turn it into a... Like, like, at this point, the LGBT movement is just a supremacy movement. Crimson Desert is the latest AA success story. Is that one, would you call Crimson Desert AA? I don't know enough about the people who produced it. Rather play so-called AA games, a so-called AA game that is fun than a AAA tech demo. Well, don't forget, guys, when Skull and Bones came out, we got the first official quadruple A game, guys. Remember that? Remember that shit show? Oh, Pearl Abyss, matey. I know about Pearl Abyss. I know about them. Actually, wait, aren't they? Oh, right, Pearl Abyss owns CCP Games, the EVE Online developers. I knew that name sounded familiar. Bisexual here have been treated worse by the community than the straights. They have a lot of alienated queer people out there. That, you know what? It is genuinely funny to me how that is becoming a thing now. And I think some people pretty much on the left and some of the far right don't want to acknowledge it, but the whole fact that a lot of LGBT people are completely giving up on the LGBT community and just want to get away with it and just fucking exist without its madness, just like constantly assailing them. Was it the new Zenless character? Why are woketards upset over her? Because the character is an unironic bondage exhibitionist character. Naturally, straight men find this hot. So naturally, dysgenic lesbians and feminist women and gay men who are basically, you know, on the leash of dysgenic lesbians and feminist women, don't like it either. Because they just hate straight men. That's really all it is. Like, you're gonna have to realize something about all the woke complaints about female character design, you know? None of it has to do with the designs actually being bad. It is literally just the fact straight men like it, therefore it's evil because straight men are evil. Never forget when I was in uni 16 years ago, at a bar and overheard a gay man say how much he absolutely hated the flaming types for ruining the image of gay people. Man, I could say, there's so much I have to say about the LGBT community, none of it's good. The one I will always say though, is that, that LGBT people will never be accepted in society until they can drop hookup culture. Their entire outlook on sex and relationships is 90% of the problem. I'm not making this up. It all boils down to their views on sex and relationships. How, you know, the sheer uncontrollable, you know, presence of things like polyamory in LGBT circles and hookup culture, where you don't have relationships, you just have sex, you know? If the LGBT community ditched hookup culture overnight, within a generation, they would be accepted by the rest of society. Because if they rejected that, a lot of the shit that turns them off to normal people would start to go away. A lot of the attitudes on sex and stuff would start to go away. And that would, at that point, people would start to accept them, like finally. But they don't want to ditch hookup culture because they're so obsessed with, you know, tolerance, air quotes, that they have to, you know, they're not allowed to point out that, you know, hey, maybe there are problems with, you know, STDs in the LGBT community because we're fucking around and don't stop fucking around, even though it's a big problem, you know? Like, controversial take, maybe. I know, you know, the AIDS epidemic. The US government absolutely botched the response to it. Thanks, Dr. Fauci. That's the second viral outbreak that was the first of 2 viral outbreaks you botched. But as much as the government botched it, the LGBT community botched it just as hard, if not worse, because they either refused to believe it existed or refused to believe it was a problem. And now it's a huge problem. You know, I'm gonna get off this topic before I resurface too many bad memories. I'm gonna get off this topic before I resurface too many bad memories. Hold on. The Black Flag remake. Yeah, it's being made by the Skull and Bones people. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be bad. I wouldn't hold out hope for it at all. Not at all. Okay. You know what? Okay. I fully admit I didn't plan for a stream today, so you know what? I'm gonna actually look for someone to raid onto. So hold up, everyone. Hold up while I search. All right, you know what? Most of the people I raid onto aren't streaming right now. So you know what? Powder is streaming right now. So I'm gonna raid onto her over on the Twitch end of things. Thank you for coming, everyone, to this incredibly improvised stream. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be playing Helldivers with Gray Vertigo and some of the SMG crew. So yeah, look forward to that, everyone. Again, thanks for coming to the stream. Having a laugh at Games Workshop, being the living definition of insanity. Y'all have a good day. If you're on my Discord server, I'll see you for Gundam Wing tonight. Yep, take care, everyone. Have a good day, and later.
Warning.